Get ready because Aaron Brooks is about to take David Taylor's spot and be the United States Olympic representative at 86 kilograms.
You are Locked On Nittany Lions, your daily podcast on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Brooks defeats Taylor in the first match of their best-of-3 series to decide who is going to take that 86-kilo spot. And Brooks did the most difficult part of this to pull off the upset. This is Locked On Nittany Lions. I'm your host, Zach Seyko. Thanks so much for making us your first listen and watch every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Brooks is going to take the 86-kilo spot from David Taylor now, and here's why. I'm also going to talk about the other 6 Nittany Lion Wrestling Club members that competed today as part of Session 3. Begin with Aaron Brooks and then get to the other 6 wrestlers. Brooks needed to win match 1. If this was going to happen, if and when this does happen, my prediction has changed because Brooks really shattered all the expectations here, shattered all the doubt because of what he had to deal with, whereas David Taylor, well rested coming in, didn't have to take on anybody else, and he's earned that right. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he should have had to go through the tournament. No, Taylor was waiting there for a reason, but what Brooks had to go through match 1 was the most difficult. Matches 2 and 3, I think it's going to go to a best of 3, and I think that's where Brooks wins in that overall finale, that winner take all. But my point is that match 1 was the most difficult by far. Taylor's coming in well rested. Brooks, the day before in sessions 1 and 2, had to wrestle Connor Mirasola, who's going to be one of the best Penn State NCAA wrestlers in the history of the program. Alex Dieringer, who's accomplished in his own right, and Zahid Valencia, all in one day, right? And then that last match with Valencia went down to the wire. It was as scrappy as you could ask for. It was his toughest by far, and it finished at 11 p.m. at night. So here's what I'm getting at here. Brooks had to maintain his weight and figure all of that out and then weigh in early next morning for Saturday to begin the day in order just to compete with Taylor. So his rest and recovery were certainly thrown off, whereas David Taylor, again, could take his time, be at peace. There's that rest versus rust debate, but certainly with Aaron Brooks going up against Mirasola, right, he was battle tested the entire time, and you would think that a lot would be taken from him out of Valencia and then not having that additional recovery time to get up to strength, but that doesn't matter. Brooks didn't need it, and Brooks won 4-1. I don't want to go along and say convincingly because that's still a close score, right? It is very difficult to score points on David Taylor as it is, but 4-1, that is, I guess, a shocking victory, right? We know how talented Aaron Brooks is. It's just that he is here now, not next year, not 2 years from now, not in the next Olympic cycle. He is here now and ready to take David Taylor's spot. Taylor has not lost to anyone in the United States since 2017. He's gotten the best of Brooks since they've had to wrestle. So we are witnessing a taking, not a passing, a taking of the torch by Aaron Brooks from David Taylor. Now, this may go to a best of 3, and I'm fully expecting it to. I am, because David Taylor can now, again, these are the best of the best. So he will take notes. He will adjust. Now he's warmed up, right? Taylor is now warmed up, whereas Brooks had all of, sessions 1 and 2. But again, a lot was taken out of him. And then it's that recovery period or that lack of one. He didn't really have a recovery period and had to go through it and then go up against the best wrestler in this weight class for what looks to be the past, right? 7 years, nearly almost a decade. But Brooks still has the upper hand. Even though Taylor's warmed up, Brooks still has the upper hand, in my opinion, since he has been actively competing. If you look at what Taylor's had to do, yes, he obviously did very, number 1 in the 2023 Worlds, but Taylor has been taking time off here and there selectively, whereas Brooks has been actively competing, actively going because, obviously different schedules since he was still in the NCAA level, but Brooks is a decade younger than Taylor. So he's going to have the upper hand when it comes to energy, longevity here. I know that Taylor's more experienced, but Brooks and Taylor have been through this now year after year, right? Going back for these past few cycles. So I think I am fully anticipating whether this goes to 2 matches or 3 matches. Brooks is going to officially knock out David Taylor in session 4 tonight and be that representative at 86 kilograms for United States and go compete in that follow-up tournament in Istanbul, Turkey. Kyle Dake looks as polished as ever. Mitchell Mesenbrink was dominant. What did the other 6 members of the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club do? How did they perform? Let's recap those results next here on Locked On Nittany Lions. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Locked On. It's playoff time in the NBA and the NHL. Baseball is in full swing, and FanDuel is the place to bet each and every game. Right now, new customers can get $150. That is right, $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and super easy to use. And I can attest to that. I use FanDuel myself. So what are you waiting for? All you got to do is visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. That is FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. That's FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And today's episode is also brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you cannot find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users do not visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you are looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional with LinkedIn. And LinkedIn understands, they know that small businesses are wearing tons of hats and might not necessarily have the time to hire. LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process of hiring easier, quicker, more intuitive. 2.5 million, that is right, 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. So become one of them. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That is linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Mitchell Mesenbrink is here to stay and then some. Before we get into all of it, if you're not already, become an everydayer. Subscribe to Locked On Nittany Lions on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts for the latest conversations around your favorite Penn State sports teams. Let me know in the comments what you thought about Session 3, Mesenbrink's performance, right? All of the other Nittany Lion competitors. Of course, Brooks versus Taylor, and to see how that will unfold. I'm eager to hear all of your opinions. Yes, I know. Mesenbrink lost to Jordan Burroughs. There was clearly a gap between the two competitors. But then you would think that, okay, Mesenbrink will probably either win close ones or just go back and forth with the likes of any of the other top wrestlers in this 74 kilo weight class, especially since Mesenbrink, again, compared to them, just looks a little undersized. But where he makes up for that, size isn't everything, right? The bigger they are, the harder they fall. And Mesenbrink truly took down all of them. It was the way that he dominated the rest of the competition. He destroyed them. Okay. Ladarian Lockett, 13-3 tech to open up, the tournament there. And Lockett has a bright future. He's a young, Mitchell Mesenbrink's young, being only 20, 21 years old. And Lockett has a bright future himself. So, okay, this is understandable. But then it's the follow-up. After losing to Jordan Burroughs, and that was, Burroughs controlled from start to finish, and Mesenbrink had 3 points late in the match, right? But it's the way he followed it up. A 12-1 tech against Quincy Monday. A 10-0 tech against Jarrett Jacques. What more could you ask for out of Mesenbrink? I understand if maybe these are 7-5, and it's like, okay, hey, these are still really good wins. These are still respectable wins. And I would probably be saying the same thing about Mesenbrink, but let's take it to another level. Let's take it a step further, because Mitchell Mesenbrink is a machine. And I've said this for all along at the NCAA tournament, when the NCAA and the Big Ten tournaments were going on, and Mesenbrink just continued to take out top 10 wrestler after top 10 wrestler and really wasn't challenged until he had to face the likes of David Carr, where he ultimately lost because he did not know the riding time point factored in. He would have beaten David Carr if he knew there was enough time for him to score another takedown and ultimately win that match. Fine, that's neither here or there. What's done is done. But the way that Mitchell Mesenbrink continues to wrestle, he is just too much. I'm going to steal this one from Bo Bassett, who's a young and up-and-coming wrestler. Obviously, most wrestling spectators should know by now that he is the best wrestler when his class is ultimately enters college. But he talks about a machine gun mindset. That's what Mitchell Mesenbrink has here. He just continues to attack, 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 attack. Sure, his criticism when it comes to folk style, riding time, and everything else in his defense, but he is just peppering you left and right. You were overwhelmed. Jordan Burroughs, even though he won that one, was clearly exhausted after he faced Mesenbrink. People just have no answer for it. They just want him to stop, and he just keeps going. He just keeps going. He just keeps going. That's my point, is that he is relentless. He does not give you a break. He does not give you any sort of leeway. He is going to continue to attack until you ultimately wear down. Again, it shows, and we talk about, oh, well, he, critical of his defense and what have you. 1 point allowed against Quincy Monday, 0 against Jacques Hughes. That speaks for itself. These are some of the best in present day wrestling, and Mesenbrink tech all of them outside of Burroughs. They're older, they're more experienced, doesn't matter. Mesenbrink is too much to handle, and he treated them all the same way. He doesn't wrestle. I like that about Mesenbrink, is he doesn't wrestle anybody differently. They're all the same. It only matters what he is doing and what he is only doing. Over to Kyle Dake. Again, we're going to kind of run through these since session 4 is coming up. Kyle Dake looks as polished as ever, fully expected. Whether it was my prediction was him and Jordan Burroughs, I expected Dake to take Burroughs out in that best of 3, but Jason Nolf got the best of Burroughs. But Dake is just too tough to score on. We're talking about defense here. Dake is the name of the game when it comes to defense, and Nolf just does not have an answer for it. It has no answer for it. Dake is the best wrestler in the U.S., and he will win that 74-kilo best of 3 to be the U.S. representative. No surprises for me at 57 kilo. Spencer Lee is finally here. Pennsylvania native. I know he wrestles for Iowa, but hey, respect where respect is earned. This is a Nittany Lion, Penn State Nittany Lions show, but Spencer Lee is representing all of us here for the United States. After how many injuries, how much recovery time to kind of go through a rejuvenation period after being pinned by Matt Ramos at the NCAA championship semifinals not too long ago. But Lee was always destined to be the guy when he was able to do it. The recovery period, right? Overcoming the injuries. That how many synthetic ACLs does he have at this point? Right? Lee has truly been through it all. And then the cherry on top of it, Thomas Gilman, as good as he is, right? 2020 bronze medalist for the United States over at the Olympics. And Lee pins him, a former bronze medalist in the entire world at the Olympics, and pins him to prove that point. Spencer Lee, and he swept the best of 3 with little to no issues. So Spencer Lee is the best wrestler right now in the United States at 57 kilograms. Little bit of friendly fire at 65 kilograms, but it's nice to see the representation by the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. Zane Rutherford takes out Nick Lee, wins both of them in the best of 3, so he sweeps them. And Rutherford is the best right now. He's in his prime, but he did get a scare from Jesse Mendez. Jesse Mendez is close. Right? He's not even finished with college, and he is close in that 65-kilogram weight class. But the best survive and advance. Close only matters in horseshoes. Not that I even need to say the cliche. But then Rutherford, again, had a close one against Mendez, but then made it look real easy against Nick Lee, who is, not just as seasoned as him, but, has more veteran experience than a Mendez type, right? And he made it look easy against Lee. Jump to 125 kilos. Greg Kirkley can and will be a future star at this weight class. He just needs to compete more in freestyle because his build, his athleticism translates so well to the freestyle circuit. He's just too quick for opponents. Now, that obviously works very well in folk style. And just to put it into perspective, he's gotten the best of Wyatt Hendrickson as of late, but then again, he reaffirms that with an 11-0 tech against Hendrickson, who was one of the lower seeds, one of the more prestigious seeds, and one of the top 5 seeds in this weight class. He just hasn't been actively competing in freestyle since 2020. That is the only reason he did not do better in this tournament. He's going to finish at fourth. He's going to make the Olympic team for Paris. He's going to make the United States Olympic team. Him and Mason Paris will be one of the premier rivalries in this weight class since they're relatively in age and they're going to go back and forth. This will be one of the premier United States wrestling rivalries across all 6 of the weight classes. Kirkley, I think, performed very well for somebody, again, who has not been actively competing at the senior level in freestyle, given what he did in 2020. Kirkley, and just to see Kirkley constantly just take that step forward, right? I talk about this, on my personal day-to-day life, but get 1% better, 1%, 1%. And that's clearly what Kirkley is doing here. You see it freshman year, finishes in fourth, and then at NCAAs, right? And then finishes in third, finishes in second, finishes in first. Finally gets that gold medal this past season at the heavyweight spot. So you will continue to see improvement. I can guarantee you that about Kirkley, is he's always going to improve no matter what. You're never going to see him level out. You're never going to see him be the same. He's always going to take a step forward, whether it's a small step or a big step. He truly gets 1%, maybe even a little more than that every single day. And that is just incredible to see in the progress of his wrestling career. Mark Hall has had a decorated career, and it's over. Mark Hall officially announced his retirement. Hall lost to Trent Hidley 9-4, so Hidley ends up taking out 2 Nittany Lion wrestlers. Carter Starachi's one. Mark Hall is the other, and ironic since those were both 174-pound wrestlers for Penn State once upon a time here. Starachi, the jury's still out on him. I have an episode on that. Go check that out. Hall had a great career, winning cadet, junior, NCAA, national, Pan Am championships all along the way. So this is I don't want to say a fitting end, but he deserves his flowers for what he was able to accomplish over the time of his wrestling career. Same thing with Jaden Cox. Cox, obviously, a little bit better, but Hall deserves the similar sort of respect. And I don't need to have a lot of analysis for Kyle Snyder. This is Kyle Snyder's weight class at 97 kilograms. No one is going to challenge him. He is probably, out of all the wrestlers that are competing at the 6 weight classes, Kyle Snyder is most likely the one to medal at the Olympics. And at the end of the day, these team trials only matter if you can win in Istanbul, Turkey, and then medal in Paris, France. But Kyle Snyder, 5-0 victory over Isaac Tremble. Nothing new here. This is Snyder's class until he decides. It is not. If you like this content around Penn State wrestling, obviously getting more into the United States freestyle side of wrestling, but since Penn State Nittany Lion Club wrestlers are so active in this, that is why we were talking about it here on the show. If you enjoy this content around your favorite Penn State sports teams, subscribe to the YouTube channel wherever you get your podcasts as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Leave a like on this episode, share it with friends and family, and expect more to come about wrestling, football, recruiting, men's basketball. We talk about it all right here on Locked On Nittany Lions.